good? What's up? It's your boy Dre. I'm here live with my, longtime friend, Kenny B,
What
his
up?
wife
What up,
Sophia.
though?
You know, you
Hey.
know, we're gonna just, jump right into some questions. I don't want to, just jump eagerly into it. Just want to give y'all context. How we met. Like, we were neighbors. We lived. They moved to Los Angeles. Not Shalia, but Kenny just moved to Los Angeles with like, what was that? 2009.
It was
10,
2010,
10.
2010.
yeah,
Yeah.
2009, or somewhere around here. And
Because
he
I
was like,
actually was working on Jerry Brown and Kamala Harris campaign here in California to even get that apartment. That's how I
Right.
overcame homeless on Skid Row.
What's
okay,
the
yeah.
lady's name?
But we was like coincidentally neighbors, but we was like coincidentally into the same shit. Like we met, how like we real life met like Red Man and Method Man.
Right, but on an artistic thing though,
Oh God, you feel
Yeah.
me?
we were
You
more.
draw?
Yeah, you draw. Yeah, I draw.
Yeah,
You
he
smoke
was.
weed? Yeah, I
Yeah,
smoke weed.
he was in the back airbrushing. It was just like that's some shit I ain't never really seen before. Like you don't see like you see people doing art, but it's like airbrushing was like something that was like you had to be dope to do that shit. And then when I actually got to see somebody like in person to actually do it, it was really dope. That shit was like really intriguing, and we already like was into the same shit, so we had like a commonality on that one. But it's like beyond that, it's like I learned like they common like they kind of like exactly the same I am as me. Like they have the same upbringing, the same type of like
Moral
mindset.
system.
Yeah, exactly. Like I'm 37 years old, going on 38 in May. Like I'll be what you call old school, right? I'm an
No,
old
you
school.
are not
Like
old
my
school.
mindset, like a
Oh,
lot of
your
people, yeah,
mindset
my
might be old
mindset
school.
would say that I would dictate that I'm old school, I'm old fashioned, I do things the old ways,
Yeah.
and then I'm stuck
Yeah.
in my ways. But that's just because of my upbringing. Like I was raised around people who were you guys' age, like
Right,
Right.
right beyond
right.
my grandmother. Like my auntie was like relatively my age, like within. She was graduating from high school when I was born,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
So it's like she's just now getting into it out of the childhood shit to where she's getting into making a life of her own,
Right.
Right. Right.
right? So we on that phase, but it's just a little situation to where it's like I always wonder because I look through history books and I just like really try to like make an understanding of where we go from like Jim Crow, civil rights movement, fighting, well, not asking anymore, like ready to do whatever is like necessary by any means necessary, and till we get to an age to where it's like people walk up to you and you the same colors they are, or the same race or the same. Well, I can't really say that, but you come from the same diaspora as they do, and like it's a problem depending on what neighborhood you grew up in. Like how we get there.
Well, I would like to refer that to BCE,
And what is that? What is BCE?
before crack
Crack
era.
era.
Okay.
Yeah, it was before the crack era. You know what I'm saying? Is what he's talking about. Um, Pretty much how life was, where we can relate to living in your house with your front door open, going to sleep at night to catch a cool
Car
breeze.
doors
You know what I'm saying? Your
open.
corridors, your
Summertime,
neighborhood
you're
was
not
being.
closing the door.
You actually can play out in the street. You know what I'm saying? Play running cross. You can play hide and go seek. Wasn't nobody coming in kidnapping you from your neighborhood or nothing like that. We had a
Not in
sense
the
of
black neighborhoods.
connection
Crazy.
where it was known that a kid at 10 years old can get sent to the store, to a liquor store, and get the liquor and send it back home, and the mama had a note with the money, and you walk home with the liquor and give it to your
Yes,
mother.
cigarettes. I bought
Cigarettes.
cigarettes
Yeah, I'm
all
part of
the
that
time.
generation to where I have definitely, as a child, walked to the store with like notes for
Right.
sure.
So
Right.
it was even deeper
Yeah,
because like
No,
the
you could go
not
to
liquor.
any
but
store.
Grandma
No,
didn't drink, but
we
we
could
had
get
definitely
liquor.
had
Uh,
for sure. Let me put the headphones on.
so I'm talking about
if your
era.
neighborhood store knew that your grandma drank liquor, you gonna get to get liquor.
Yeah, they definitely knew
Yeah.
everybody
Look,
that
I'm
was at the
saying
store.
like the candy lady and the candy lady, right?
Okay.
You could get sent to the store with a note, and it was so much in trust in the hood in the community that the parent would send the kid to the store and he would come back with the candy. You know what I'm saying? And
No shit.
yeah, you know what I mean? Like it was that in tune with each other. So what happened was before a crack era is what the dividing started coming from. You know what I'm saying? That's when people was getting, grandma was getting people out of jail. You know what I'm saying? Putting the house up. Uh, People was getting hooked on this, coming in, stealing stuff out of the house. You know what I'm saying? You had people like, you know, didn't know how the reaction of what this drug was going on. You know what I'm saying? It was a phenomenon. We didn't know.
But at the same time, though, we still have like Bumpy Johnson with the heroin epidemic and
True.
protest. So you telling me that like even though something that's like as soon as you put it in your veins and you get high for the first time, you're a lifelong customer. Like that trumped heroin.
Yeah, because this will happen. Like you got to understand, opioids is even go way back like the Asian culture. You know what I'm saying? So they always been smoking. Yeah, it was always some type of
Buddha uses opioids.
even the painkillers that you get. In
Yeah,
the
but they was
hospitals.
I mean like. It still puts you like because I saw documentaries on it and there was like this poppy houses and shit where these guys would get but they like be super like stuck to the bed not wanting to move do shit do nothing but like smoke poppy.
So to say that like it was known, right? It was known. You got to understand, cocaine wasn't a black man's drug. You know what I'm saying?
No.
And to be able to have it now in a form that anybody at any economic level can have to party.
And you
my
only
God.
need a little bit to make a lot.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
So it was a phenomenon.
The first time that you did not have to have a special facility to create this drug.
Goddamn.
Once you got the powder version of that, and you put that with the baking soda in a baby food jar on a regular pot on a stove with water.
It was a phenomenon, bro.
All
like,
you needed to know how to do it
a 13-year-old kid know how to do this.
Yes.
You understand what I'm saying? I'm rocking up stuff. Like I can get a pack and rock it up. But when it first came, right, when it hit St. Louis, and I'm talking about from the perspective of St. Louis, this was before Bloods and Crips came, right? Bloods and Crips really was like a main supplier of the cocaine trade in the 80s. You know what I'm saying?
Gotcha.
But we already had.
But we had
y'all was different.
We already had gangs. We already had cocaine. You see what I'm saying? What had happened was when the Bloods and Crips came, it was so plentiful. Everybody was put on. It wasn't just a selective thing. You know what I'm saying? You got whole hoods. You know what I'm saying? It's hundreds of people now
so
making
like
some type of money.
It's basically like a double-edged sword to where like it was an opportunity for people to actually get money, but it was actually like the catalyst to the destruction of our.
We did not know that it was a catalyst at all.
But it's
to
like,
our destruction.
all right. So, for example, right? All right.
You ever heard of Cube Summer Vacation about St. Louis?
Yeah.
That's how it was.
Yeah.
He said it the best out of anybody that
St.
ever
niggas want they corner back.
Man, he said it the best because it was like it was already going. You know what I'm saying? We was going with the game, but we fell in love, with the culture too at West Coast because we are the Midwest.
Got you.
You know what I'm saying? So we didn't recognize what the East Coast like that. We wore Dickies and Chucks too. You know what I'm saying? Like, but it was like with this, it unified everything, right? It put things under two umbrellas.
So would y'all say like the spread of it is just like simultaneous? Because it's like everybody related across the states. Was it like a simultaneous?
Nigga,
like,
it was like the
COVID.
plague. It was COVID.
Like COVID.
It was COVID.
Where you heard one person in one city and they like, oh yeah.
Yeah,
we about to move it here. We got it. And then it just literally spread right on out.
We
it
actually-
came into the major cities first. Whatever major city of the state was, I guarantee you got it first, and then it maneuvered. But really, it started more on like the West Coast and specifically
because
the
of
East Coast.
Freeway
you know.
Ricky Ross, right?
Yeah.
Because you got to understand, yes, it was cocaine here in the States, but it wasn't plentiful until he got it. And when he got it,
that's what
he
it
gave it
seemed
to
like.
everybody else that's around here.
Cause it's like you got like people. What's her name? The
Got
Fuck.
blown.
the
Griselda.
godmother Griselda
Griselda.
Blanco, right?
Blanco, yeah.
She was like in the 70's, right? That's like way before Freeway Rick. And she's moving like, but she's not moving crack cocaine.
Right.
She's
No,
moving
there
actual
was
But see-
powder.
no crack cocaine.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
was just
That's why I
the
said
cocaine.
BCE. It was just cocaine.
Yes.
You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
So
Why was she moving so much cocaine? Well, then you have to look at the disco era.
right.
The disco eras is the late 60s through the 80s.
Yeah.
Actually through the mid 70s through the 80s, not
Yeah.
the 60s.
Yeah, through the
The
70s.
mid 70s through the 80s, disco didn't go out till hip hop came.
No, till AIDS came.
No, because they was discoing the AIDS.
But when they recognized what it was, they was like, hold
yeah,
up.
they kind of
They
slowed
was
it
like,
down.
everybody
you know?
took off that sequin shit.
Yeah.
It was like, nigga, broken glass everywhere. People dancing on the stone, and they just don't, because they were saying that gay people had this. It was called GRID, gay related immune deficiency or disease. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's crazy.
But they were saying it was gay people disease. It wasn't no black thing or whatever. But what happened was Anthony Fauci and Robert Gallo.
Anthony Fauci.
Yeah.
Damn, he date back all the way back
to
to
the-
the
to the
Anthony
AIDS.
Fauci has been part of the United States Healthcare Advisory Board participant since, if I want to say, the 60s.
God damn, how old is this motherfucker?
So this
He's-
is why
he
we
started
stood so
young,
strong
too.
on, you know what I'm saying? We seen what happened with GRID, and they turned it into AIDS, which is immune acquired deficiency syndrome. Yeah, acquired immune deficiency syndrome, which is AIDS. But that's what you acquire the medicine. So your immune system, and it make a deficiency, and you did it so much it was a syndrome. And that's what AIDS is. So you die of complication of AIDS, not HIV, which is just a virus. You see what I'm saying? Like COVID. You know what I'm saying? You die of COVID, but you don't die of coronavirus.
But you know what, though? People who smoke crack wasn't worried about AIDS.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
Because AIDS was before crack blew up.
So when you
AIDS
really
have been around.
Cause I remember it being like as a kid, like always talked about.
yeah,
Okay,
because they
well,
was pushing
we
it.
know
They was
Yeah.
pushing it.
There's
so
a
this like
time-
the early 90s.
Yeah, they was
right?
pushing.
Always
We
talked
know
about.
that there's a time that there was no such thing.
Yeah, before AIDS, before crack.
I was in middle school
yeah.
before AIDS was around.
Like they
Wow.
was so phobic.
No,
you talking about
elementary.
homophobic? It was more AIDS phobic so bad you couldn't even. You didn't want a gay person to touch you.
It was worse than COVID.
Yeah, it was.
It
way
was worse than COVID.
Man,
or,
they literally
as
didn't.
equal.
They didn't
yeah.
want you like especially drinking out of a cup or anything like that. It was that bad, and people don't want to talk about it. But now they got commercials that show the AIDS people, they can get medication and walk around and don't get detected. It's all type of medicine now.
Yeah.
But back then, people was down within a year for taking that medicine.
Yeah,
Wow.
it was bad.
I know I have my mom has HIV and her brother died of AIDS complications like in the early 90s when I was a child. So,
Mhm.
like, I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah.
Like I was just like back on to the like cuz I could say this, right? You have like groups of people like gangs. Like I noticed this like all across every like major city that's spread off into the smaller like cities or what municipalities or whatever. Like there's always like this like I felt like every city that had a Black Panther establishment has some residual effect of a gang like atmosphere or gang culture like within that city, like being Chicago, Los Angeles, Dallas, or Texas, fucking like New York,
Oakland, New York,
Okay.
Oakland, like
Jersey.
I was
like all those areas, like
okay from my point of view, right? As a Midwest kid, you know what I'm saying, and just kind of, I think what all the kids was going through at that time, right? You got to remember, in the '60s, they killed everybody. They killed all the Panthers. They ran them off to different countries and stuff like that. So these women who had kids and was a part of this movement and stuff are now pregnant with these kids, and they were alone raising these kids by themselves. You know what I'm saying? But the DNA of this culture that happened is lying in them. So they made a way. We made a way to the point where, we have to do something. We got to make a noise because we are being smothered with talking about Black History Month. They giving us Black History Month, and it's cool to have the idea, but they was trying to pamper our true leaders,
Right.
who it was, and
It wasn't just Martin Luther King.
yeah, you know what I'm saying?
It
And what we've
wasn't
learned,
just that.
because you got to understand, bro, we the kids of the 70s. So therefore, 1965 was a Civil Rights Act, and it was supposed to pass. We never seen anything benefited from that. So now we growing up in the 70s, and we, as babies, but now we recognizing Ronald Reagan. You know what I'm saying?
Came in the 80s.
Yeah,
so now
we know
we're
we seen
receiving-
Ford, we seen Jimmy, but now we see Ronald Reagan, and we understand what our people was talking about, and they giving us Martin Luther King, and we stumble upon Malcolm X, the Nation of Islam. You know what I'm saying? How to Eat.
Black
You know what I'm saying? The
Panthers.
autobiography of Malcolm X, and we like, this is what we feel. So now,
Prior to crack cocaine, everybody was wearing leather medallions with the red, black, and green African symbol.
that's my whole
Everyone
thing.
was wearing wooden beads.
Dancing.
Everybody
That's
was
my
we
whole
was
thing.
dancing,
And that's
hip
what-
There
hop.
was
That's
none.
what fucking blows my mind, because I see Watts Fest and shit like that, right?
Yes.
Black people out.
It was
this
real.
at the fucking Coliseum. You
Yeah.
cannot do that shit today.
No.
No.
You can't even have King Parade down King
barely.
Boulevard.
We
You know what I'm
had
saying?
one
Let
this
alone
time.
like some motherfucking Watts
They did
Fest
have
type
some,
shit.
a fight.
Like,
But I feel what you're saying. Filling stadiums
I mean,
with
I
black
can, I
Yeah,
can
people.
deal with a
yeah,
squabble.
yeah.
I'm talking about like
Yeah.
the shit getting like
Yeah,
shut
shut- yeah,
down
yeah.
and never
No,
to be
no,
thought
no.
of again
Yeah.
because people did too much.
Yeah.
Like,
And that's what we missing for the younger generations, I would say.
I think they don't care no more.
No.
Yeah,
Right.
because they never felt it.
It's like, all right, so I would say that this generation is younger than me, right?
Right.
I'm at the point to where it was like it was in our household, so it was like in my scope of view and in my
You felt
perspective.
you
Yeah,
felt what grandmama
right?
felt.
Exactly.
You know what I'm
like
saying?
because she made
You
it.
knew her
It's
intentions
like-
for you.
I saw those experiences that she had, like probably like a few episodes, like growing up to the point where it's like, okay, I know how to decipher. All right, this dude is actually doing this, and this race is this, that, and the other. I learned that shit, but it was like, it was in our household to like know who we are and like know what it is to like stand up for yourself, and like it was like never the commonality to like hurt nobody or
Yeah,
like,
no intention
do
to hurt
anybody
nobody.
wrong,
But
or
look,
talk down on people, like, and it wasn't like we had my grandma, like she was in the church, but it wasn't like an overall strict religious like
Right.
upbringing. It was like common fucking sense, like type of upbringing. Like, you gonna use your head or you not? You gonna use your head or you gonna use your ass?
and don't let them back. Don't let them surround you, baby. Pick up a brick and stick and grab one,
Yeah.
and don't let him go.
Yeah, so
Let him holler.
And I know that because these is the like she's born in 1942, right? So she's coming up in that era to where it's like,
That's Jeff Ford.
yeah, like I'm not going for this
That's
shit.
Jeff Ford era.
That
You know what I'm saying?
she's the,
Almighty
like the
Black Peace
real
Song.
OG,
Yeah.
like that actually bred the
And see-
mentality into her sons, who's
Right.
the like originating
So
Crip
now check
and
this
gang
out.
founders
So check this out.
of our generation.
Because what
Right.
you're saying
'Cause
is
these are our uncles.
the Panthers to the gangs, right?
Yeah.
So now you got to see, this is why a person like T. Rogers is so important, right?
Yeah.
Because he's bringing the organization to something to say, hey, we are organized nation. right? So we need to be together on this as one, right? So that mindset where every other Black Panther or the people that was in it, they had that mindset of saying, "Hold up, we unified as one. We could come up all under one umbrella. You know what I'm saying? No matter who and what you do, but this mindset of us together as
Yeah.
one,
Cause that was basically like the concept of it
the
out
Panthers.
here.
I know.
The
That's
And
what
it
I'm
Panthers have
seems to
that.
be around the same fucking time.
exactly.
It's mind blowing, like how it's like the butterfly effect in real fucking life.
So this is why
Like-
hip hop took off so great. Because just like I was saying earlier, you had somebody on the East Coast made a noise of this what's happening to everybody, this effect, right, that you're talking about, broken glass everywhere. And about time it got over to the West Coast where NWA, they were like, fuck the police. And it waved back like, yeah, you know what I'm saying? You say, yeah, you hear the down south talking. You know what I'm saying? They talking about it, you know what I'm saying? With UGK, Ghetto Boys, all them, and it just made a whole effect. And this how it blossomed the same way that the movement of the Panthers was doing, and it was instilled into our generation, but they threw crack in.
But with
Yes.
like, all right, so I was
Crack is the main shit that threw everything off because it was a total
Everything
distraction.
off.
See, like, but then I would say this, right? All right. So now I would say that, all right, that gives us vices to, right, actually incorporate ourselves to become lucrative, i.e., hip hop, and added another notch into our culture. But there are those elements of people who are immersed in the gang culture who is like considering themselves, I'm not a rapper, I'm not a dancer, I'm not an entertainer. I do this. Like I'm with the shits. Like
The
So-
people that was with the shits would have been a Black Panther.
and I think like I kind like that's why like
Because you got to have security, bro.
That
You know
was
what I'm saying?
the whole
Everybody's a
purpose
necessary need.
of
The defense was to, like, if we had to, it had to be somebody to knock somebody down.
Absolutely. The women and children are on
They
the
got to be
inside.
protected. We can't just sit up here and do the culture
the-
for us like hip hop. We got to police ourselves, and
Yes,
that's what the main thing.
first.
You know what I mean? And that's how we allowed them to infiltrate because we stopped policing ourselves.
and that's what I think it is too, because now like I see the way this shit is going right now. To me, in my eyes, it's like rappers die more than any other genre. Rappers go to jail more than any other genre.
Man,
Rappers tell on themselves
Bro,
more than any
they-
other
they
genre.
just,
They're in the spotlight more than any other genre. I think it's just like a zero in.
we're going to look up
and
a
it's just
word
my
called
own
rap.
personal feeling.
She finna look up a word called rap. What's
Yeah.
the illegal
No,
word
at
for
least
rap?
the
legal
legal
word
word
for rap.
for rap.
Okay.
Okay? Because it astonished me. Rap. Slang for criminal conviction. That's all it say.
So Yellow Beezy, what's the other one? Loose Cannon, Brick Baby. You know what I'm saying?
But
All
you want to
that-
be a rapper. Wouldn't that make you a criminal
King
offense?
Von.
But like,
Little Dirk.
I know what they're referring to, and like they're
Yeah.
referring to like the aspect of the 1930s, like to where they're
rap sheet.
that's like the
Yeah, you got a
what's
rap
the
sheet.
Yeah,
That's
like,
what the criminal
But look,
convictions
look,
are.
look at how we use that word. Oh, I'm a rapper. You see
and
what I'm
look
saying?
how they identify
Our
us
words
with
was
the
hip hop.
word.
It was the MC. When did we move from MC
I
to
think
rapper?
I think it like it because like right, the West Coast we call it rap, right?
yeah,
We call it reality and poetry.
yeah.
That's like, cause I felt like with our like stamp on what it meant to be hip hop, we put our own like spin on the genre by calling it
Yeah.
rap.
Yes.
So it's like,
Yes.
okay, it's not just dance. Like that's why you
Yeah,
find
yeah,
like
yeah,
a
yeah.
lot of LA
Yeah,
music is
that
no
that
dance
is
music.
historically
No, it's
correct.
not.
Like,
That's
it's-
historic.
It's not.
Yeah.
But check this out. Look how we put the spell on ourselves, though, with that. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying?
Or
You
they
think
put the
about it.
spell on us through that.
You know what I'm saying? Because legally,
We're naming
when we
it
go to
something
court and
honestly.
they say you're a rapper, and they go look it up legally because that's what they do. They not gonna look in the Webster's. They going to this dictionary. So they're gonna try to define that. And when they use that word in court, and the word upon that church, yes, he's a rapper. You know what I'm saying? And just like
They barely say recording artist.
yeah, because they use the person mean corporation, and when they using that word inside of
So
sentences in the
that's
court,
why it's like, you
it's
know,
important to know those legal words.
we're coming through it honestly.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
So think about it right now about those cases. They talking about these are rappers. The prosecutor attorney talking about these are rappers. The judge gonna go in the chamber. What is a rapper? Because just like
And
if
you're
they looking up for a woman,
self-identifying as a rapper.
because the word woman is not in there.
I
No, it is
self-identify
not.
as a musician.
You know.
There you go. There's a
Yeah,
difference.
it's a difference from
Musician
a-
ain't
I'm a
gonna be in here as a
multi-instrumentalist.
person who has some horrible things occurring,
Yeah.
right? And they don't, refer to people who are quote unquote rappers as musicians.
Right. They don't.
And I think that's
Molly
what,
Cruz
like,
is a musician,
because
bro.
That's a
think
rock band.
Right,
They're
right,
at
yeah,
least
yeah.
a band.
It's like, all right, so we live in a like, cause it's like me, right? So I wouldn't say that I'm OG status, right? But I'm at the age right now to where I have nephews that are over 18 now.
Mhm.
Like I got their little brothers who are becoming over 18 who are
Mhm.
younger than them. And it's just like it's a lifestyle that is like people my age are giving them this mindset that they are this person and like this crash out like mindset.
GTA.
And I don't have any kids,
GTA.
right? No, I wouldn't even put. All right, so
Black Ops.
I play. All right, so look, I play
No,
that.
no. Cause look.
it's
So
I'm
hear me
older
out.
than-
Hear me
yeah,
out.
I'm older
Hear
than
me
that.
out. We talking about before. So when you got to a video game, I remember Atari, bro. The little one button and the knob, and we used to beep, boom, beep, boom, boom, beep.
Nah,
boom.
I
So
ain't gonna lie.
I could
I
go
wouldn't
to
say
a
it's
collegiate-
video games.
No,
Yeah.
listen what I'm saying. Listen what I'm saying. What I'm saying is they having the perception of what it is to be a man to go out and shoot and kill and thinking it's so easy as a game and crashing out because they thinking, oh, I can get away with it, and you ain't really had no basic training on anything. That's why a lot of people getting hurt. So you get all these stupid times or whatever. These kids ain't being taught what being patrolling the neighborhood, right?
But it goes to show, like, cause it's like, all right, cause my whole thing is this, right? It's like it's my upbringing is just so like I wouldn't call it like the best upbringing. I wouldn't call it the worst upbringing, but I consider it so fucking solid because it's just made me this person that I am. To where like I know what's crash out, I know what's you supposed to crash out. I know the difference between those.
Well,
right?
Takesha Shine is the grandmama now.
Yeah.
It ain't no more Marys. It
And
ain't
that's
no
my
Luna Mays.
generation. That's my generation.
Yeah,
Like,
it ain't no
literally,
Luna
that's
Mays.
Like 1980 to 80.
I feel like
to
during
90.
that time,
And when-
those
so when-
people who were having,
When the booty whoopings come in at lose where you
I
where
got
you
my
lose
ass whooped.
right.
Oh.
So that's what I'm saying. See,
Beat.
now you don't want to do what your mama did to y'all, right? So now you ain't whooping them.
that's where the problem is
You
coming
know what I'm saying?
in
You giving
because
them a
our
leeway, so they make a
generation
decision inside your house.
was trying. So we're Generation X,
Yeah.
right? The smallest one, right? During our time, right, we probably felt like our age bracket probably felt like our parents were too hard on us. So when we had our children, right? So me and Kenny ain't old enough to be your parent,
Yeah.
right?
Y'all like my older
But
brother.
right, we would be significantly
an older
older,
cousin, yeah.
right? So I would say that we were trying so hard not to be like our parents, but at the same time knowing what happened to our fathers too. And then you can teach your black son, you know what, fuck that shit, it don't matter. It don't matter, fuck it.
What do you mean by that? Like
Like if he say something to you, knock that nigga out.
oh,
You
yeah.
know what I'm saying? It put your generation, right, and beyond,
Yeah, 'cause
right?
that's definitely how my
where they're
generation
on
was.
crash out status because us, we're the first ones to see the true destruction. Okay, so we had slavery, we had Jim Crow, we had emancipation, we had all of this stuff, right?
Yeah.
And as we're creeping up towards freedom,
Mm-hmm.
we're the first ones to get freedom. Freedom education, freedom to get a job, freedom to have a house, freedom to get a bank account, freedom to own a business.
Hold on, yeah, because the civil rights was signed in
1968.
Well, yeah,
5, 8, shit, whatever.
Because I know it was like fought of like Malcolm X died in 1962. 62. What did he die in 62? 64?
That was Edgar, wasn't it?
Nah, I think his is further to like
Let me get
68.
I don't know where my phone is.
Because I think Malcolm,
because I used to think Malcolm X died in 68.
Kennedy and
okay.
Kennedy and Martin died around about the same time.
Yeah, and that's
I can't see
1968.
without these.
Yeah.
Kennedy and
Okay.
Martin Luther King.
1965.
Yeah.
It was 1965.
Malcolm X was murdered in 1965.
And then this is still why the fight 3 years post the King being assassinated
Right.
of the fight of the civil rights
Right.
movement,
So the
and that wasn't
70s.
signed into law until after he passed.
So
and
1970 come around. Here go the 70 babies.
That
the
is
ones
crazy.
They killed.
we're the first ones to be able to go to school in non-segregated schools. We're the
without
first
drinking fountain water, without saying white on it.
None
all
of that.
Yeah.
We're the first generation to see what's supposed to have been our benefit package,
Yeah.
right?
So
So by the time we're having kids, we're having y'all and beyond, nigga, we still not seeing our benefits package
yeah.
that our
Matter of
parents
fact-
fought for.
No, matter
We
of
watched
fact,
our
in
parents fight for that.
1980, you
That's
get
crazy.
Ronald Reagan and he took everything.
So then we're watching it being taken.
So when we were supposed to be going to like technical schools and stuff like that
It's
to better our
gone.
stuff, it's gone. It ain't even there. So luckily, if you got bust out, which Joe Biden was trying to stop,
highly
you know,
against.
yeah, you bust out to the white suburban areas to get into the technical schools or go to the county schools and the technical school. You know what I'm saying? If you lived out there, can deal with the racism. You know what I'm saying? You probably
That
be okay,
came with
but
its own set of problems. That's a whole nother discussion.
yeah.
That's crazy.
What about the kids that didn't grow up in the crack houses? What was their house life like? You know, that did get bused to the other schools and got to have a good life. You could have them tell this story too. But
Because
for
they
us,
got real bad stories too. Because they
they
it was
have
bad for them.
racism beyond that.
Yeah,
we
they was
probably would
getting
be like,
bust out there.
wow.
Yeah. And that's what I say. Like I know the history pre like Crips and Bloods in Los Angeles about the racism and the situation. Because I say like it's at a different scope for LA or California. Well, I'll say LA people like in
Yeah.
particular. I don't know
Right.
I don't live up north. I don't live in San Diego. I live in Los Angeles. But I just know how it is up here, and it's like if you run across a racist person, not necessarily a white person, you will
Right.
have a racist encounter.
Right.
If you like, but the people we normally deal with is like black and brown, like relationships, and it's like when I was a kid, I remember them being better with brown people, but I never remember them being better with black and black relationships.
Because we already was supposed to have got that in the 60s.
Right.
But then when you came along and then you give the women welfare and then you going to
Push the
take the
man
dad,
out
you got to
the house.
realize we the first generation that legally the father could not be in the home to receive money.
That's fucking crazy. That's crazy.
You ever seen Claudine?
Yeah, I've seen Claudine.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
what Claudine is about.
Yeah.
It's about a welfare mother who found a man who loved her and treated her good.
I remember
All
my
them
uncle,
damn kids.
My
Well,
uncle
all
used to
them
tell me
kids.
he used to move a lot. Like he went to a lot of different schools because he moved a lot. Because like my grandma she had kids, but she was divorced to her husband versus being married, and there was a stigma against females renting property without a male.
Right.
Being married.
1973 was the first time a black woman could own any type of property in the county of Los Angeles.
That's some bullshit.
A little history, man.
So you
want to
know
before crack?
You see what
Ladies
I'm saying?
and gentlemen,
Like,
before crack,
you know, so and when you think about it in all truth and essence, if you had the 60s, right? We'll just say the late 60s, right?
Okay.
Not the early 60s, but the later 60s when the shit was actually being passed through and all of that type of stuff, right? So let's say, for instance, like your mom's generation, she over 50?
See, that's the thing. The crack epidemic fucked up my relationship because I don't know how old she is. I don't
Okay.
know what year she was born.
I would say
I know my
that she
dad was
has
born
to
in
be a little
59.
bit older than us because we're not old enough to be your parents.
Yeah, my dad
oldest
was
is
born in
35.
59.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
So,
your
I don't know
generation,
what year my mom was born.
right? So if you have the shit that was popping off in the 60s, right? By the time you get to the 70s, right?
Okay.
She's just barely being able to take advantage of anything that occurred from her squab in the 60s.
Yep.
But as soon as they give it to them, like 75, in 1975, all of that
1970 for
shit's
me.
over.
Yeah.
Over. So by the time we're in 1985,
Nigga, it's looking
there is
bad.
nothing.
We getting government cheese, nigga. The army giving us cheese and
Absolutely.
powder milk and powder eggs.
That shit was real.
Nigga, it was bad, nigga. It was broken glass everywhere.
That-
People visiting
that
on the sides
was
and they
really
just don't care.
real.
Man, it was bad, bro.
That's crazy, bro.
It was so bad, bro.
And
like
so do you not think
we
that we
literally
would
stand.
accept crack?
We stood
a
in
solution?
stood in lines in the back. They had it in back of trucks. Remember that?
Yes.
It
you
was
go
trailers.
to the back of like some empty parking lot and
Yeah.
they pull the semis up there and you stand in a long ass line and it's two
Yeah, bro.
motherfuckers passing out cheese and fucking one motherfucker got
Depends
the
on
peanut
how
butter.
many people you got in the
How
house.
and my mom only had one kid, so we got one cheese, one peanut butter.
Goddamn.
And a butter,
It was-
regular
it was
butter,
like- it
because
was
they
like-
have some good butter
Yeah.
too.
It was like monthly rations, bro.
yes,
Goddamn.
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Food stamp was a
absolutely.
blessing. Food
Yes.
stamp was a blessing, bro.
And everybody didn't get food stamps back then either,
Yeah, if you did,
because you
never
couldn't
remember
have
no
the
food stamps in
man
my
in
house.
the house.
you couldn't have no man in the house, man. You couldn't have nobody that's over a certain age. You know what I'm saying? That can be working or whatever, and all
They-
that, man.
This
shoes,
is the thing. They
somebody
came
man
to
shoes
your
in the house
home.
bigger than the kids. Oh man, whose shoes is this? Whose drawers is these? Oh man, why y'all get that microwave?
Don't get no old
You know what I'm
person
saying?
who
Ooh,
don't like
A
nobody.
color TV. Ooh, how y'all afford that? We only give y'all $300 a month.
Damn.
Yes.
Nigga, you get hound. So the man had to leave the house. He had to, man, because that little $300.
They graduated high school and now y'all can't even live together.
Then they put crack out. You know what I'm saying? Think about this. Not crack is out. Like, you took away all the possibilities.
1983, crack was already full,
Yes.
ready to rumble.
Yeah.
And I was born
Richard
in
Pryor
73.
burnt himself up by that time. He was freebasing.
Goddamn.
But see, you had to be rich back then.
Yeah.
At first, it started
couldn't
off
get
as
it.
a little, because it was cocaine turned into the rock.
Yeah,
So
'cause it's
before it
freebase.
hit
You had the
the
freebase.
hood, right? Before it hit the communities and the neighborhoods and all of those type of things, it was freebasing, right? And if I'm not mistaken, they changed like one molecular chemical
You know
to
what?
make it to where it's very, very easy.
Look, cocaine is 2 ingredients
get-
away from sugar.
That's all I was about to say. It has the same almost, but at the same time, one molecule away from being that is like.
Do we
light
not
years
get
away.
addicted to sugar?
That is true.
Yeah.
That is true. I cannot argue with that.
That's why they call that
whatsoever.
shit candy.
Hmm.
And it's the same crystalline.
And booger sugar.
Well, we don't.
Sugar,
don't
booger,
know.
booger,
I
sugar,
don't
whatever
give
they
no
called you.
narcotic.
There's a lot of
They gave
names
us that
for
damn
it.
narcotic. Damn, they got my water right there.
Huh?
I left my water right there.
Oh.
Let me tell you.
I can't reach across that far. And, I already need a telephone book. Nah. So
Yeah.
when you honestly wonder how you got to like where you grew up at, like the mindset, right? How the community looked outside, what you seen when you walked out your home.
Dre, you know, I used to build go-karts out of big wheels. You know what I'm saying? Clubhouses what people be making on the side of the road now, you know, these encampments.
Kids did that.
Man, we did that back in the day, but we made it more strategic. We would get the pallets and break the pallets down and use that as structures as our wood, because you ain't had no money to go
Little
buy
forts.
no wood. You know what I'm saying? So you take the nails out, straighten them out or whatever, and you rebuild you something with the wood and nails, bro. That's how fun life was. We can get on top of a church roof and play, you know, Zorro. You know what I'm
See-
saying? With golf clubs.
See, there were elements to where it's like, all right, you can go outside and play, but you knew to watch out for shit. Like there, like,
but crack.
What did you
Crack-
know to watch out for?
Fucking exaggeration.
So we can see if it's different.
As an adult now, it was fucking crazy. But I literally had this game with my brother where who could find the most like shell cases and bullets on the ground
But
the
see,
most.
bro, you came up in that era, bro.
Like,
And I
facts.
gotta admit,
1987
crack, bro.
was full
Crack came.
That was a
poppin'.
game. I didn't even know these was fucking live ammunition. Like
Crack
because
came,
you used to go walk anywhere
Right.
and find it, like
Right.
in the ground.
That's what
Like
I'm
I
telling
used
you.
to think that was
Like,
like
you want to see
to
a
me
dead
that was
body?
like the fucking metal carrot to me, like growing up.
Automatic weapons was only in the military.
Until
Niggas had
crack
pistols,
cocaine.
maybe a shotgun. Nobody had no Uzis.
It was a lot of bullets, like
You know what I'm saying?
in play, like anywhere, like bro. I swear, like,
You couldn't just
one
get
place in
bullets.
particular, right? One place in particular, like we lived on 63rd and Crenshaw, like at these apartments, like right before you get to it's still the same liquor store is right there on the south east corner, but there was a fucking like a Korean butcher shop or some shit that was across the street. Like I remember being there all the time, and I remember like on average you could just walk down the street and like because we found the most bullets there. Like you can literally just walk down the street and just pick shit up.
you talking
Like,
about the
I used to give my
But
grandma like
yeah.
You talking about the
handfuls of
90s,
fucking
bro.
bullets.
You
You
talking about the
about
90s.
the 90s when
Man, it
See-
was military. What are you talking about,
do you
dude?
know when crack cocaine first came around? Do you know the police did not even know what it looked
They didn't
like?
know. They didn't know. They didn't.
They
They
did not
didn't know how to
know what
react.
was coming.
Bro, look, you gotta
There
understand,
was
bro.
no police.
Let's rewind a little bit. One day, you were wearing some Kmart clothes. The next day, you was wearing Fila. You was wearing Gucci, MCM. You know what I'm saying? True.
Louis Vuitton.
Louis Vuitton, all these things, you wearing these things now, right? Because you hip hop developed you
Hold
into
up.
wanting to style.
And you ain't going to the store to get it
Yeah,
either.
it's
It's
coming
coming
to
to
you.
your door.
It's coming to you. Rings, you know what I'm saying? TVs, anything that you what? Just because this little piece right here, this little piece, everything was bringing to you the latest equipment for filmmaking and all that stuff. People didn't know what to do. People just bring it to you. Man, I got this whole studio system, dog. Give me
For
about two
real.
of them motherfuckers, dog. Give me
For
two
real.
of them motherfuckers. You
That
have
is
all-
where the criminality could have came
Right.
from, right?
But
because
this what happened
know.
though. It was so plentiful. People wanted their own spot. You can't come over here and sell because me and my clique, my crew, my homies, you know what I'm saying? This part of you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
The
but
same game.
That's like what I was saying earlier because like from my understanding, gangs was not directly involved like
No, it wasn't.
in the sales of like
It wasn't. It was-
cocaine until later on.
It threw upon
and
us,
then,
bro.
then that's when like major bloodshed. in the
Yes,
streets.
because
like,
Yes.
so what you
territory.
could like legitimize is like the real beefs in the streets are over like I'm not gonna call it all drug territory, but that's what like the
No, that's what it
expansions
was.
about.
it was.
Because there was people in the same gang,
Because
dude,
we
telling
kind
you
of like the gangs that do not maintain like the same borders that they had when they first fucking started is the hundreds.
Right.
Literally, bro. Everybody else has the same fucking exact borders. So it makes me like confused, like as far as to like was it just those gang colors or was it just those like or that nigga taking
So-
all the money because he got the better
That's what it
dope or
was.
some
That's
shit.
what it
And
was.
yes,
That's what it was, bro.
absolutely.
To
Cause
me, that's
listen,
fucked up, man.
Because it beat
It
out
puts the
your
black-
own homies, right, in the same gang. Y'all look, think about it. Just say, for instance, look how divided that you say the 60s, right? Look how different fragments of that 60s that you have. Even though they the 60s, they claim 60s, but they have different fragments of age. You know what I'm saying? Different cliques to get a certain type of money, different cliques to do this certain type of thing. So what it was, they've sectioned everybody out. Well, you can't come over here with your little clique and make money over here. This is just for me and my little clique or whatever.
Mhm.
So that began internal beef right along with external beef.
Customers.
You know what I'm saying? Because your customers is dealing with people
Customers.
that's in your hood, and you like, oh, you taking my customers.
Yes, you take
see what I'm saying?
money.
But they gonna always, cause like 9 out of 10 times, like
But this
I
is
grew
brand
up
new,
with
bro. This
shit,
is brand
man.
new. This
Like,
is a brand new thing.
we created the system.
This was the first time ever
and I'm
anything.
in the I grew up in the phase to where it's like the system is still trying to be ran, but it's being combated against at the same time.
Right,
Yes.
because you
Like-
had
because
so
we
many
didn't teach
entities.
no
Yeah.
discipline.
There was like fucking mandatory fucking minimums, fucking 3-strike laws.
That
there was
didn't
shit
come
like that.
until
And you got to think about
later.
this. Think about this too, bro.
There's
You talking
so
about-
much shit that is like it feels like this is why I'm having this like podcast now because I felt like there's when I look back because I'm a history buff, especially on the city that I come from, and I look back and it seemed like there was this I ain't gonna call it a glory day. It was all perfect, but it was just seemed like the mindset was different versus just like somebody I don't even fucking know just because he from over there is my enemy now. Like that
Yes.
shit don't make no fucking sense to
And
me.
it wasn't like
Like-
that, bro. It wasn't like that. My gang, you know what I'm saying? We grew up, man. And I'm telling you, we had so much territory that we covered, and when crack was, because it was there with the older guys, right? But when it came to the point where everybody in St. Louis was able to do this, it came so competitive within our own gang, and it's just like it chopped up so much of our own gang to the point where other people start taking on another name, but they foundation was that, you know what I'm saying? So it was like then after so much bloodshed and loss and stuff, you have people trying to come back to claim what they had at first, you know what I'm saying, and try to keep the tradition going. And this is where a lot of the misconstrues come in, because it's a lot of hurt, it's a lot of damage that has been done, you know what I'm saying, with the other shit,
On
you know.
both sides,
Yeah,
too.
on both sides, you know what I'm saying, even though these were brothers, you know what I'm saying, but the drug trade had put scars.
And then that's what I always seem to like find out. Like the story is always the same. You had not a Cain and Abel situation, but a Cain and Cain situation,
Yes.
or
No, it's
a
a-
Cain and Cain situation. You feel me? And Abel always died.
Yeah,
That's what it just seemed like. Like
that's what it is.
you have what's his name? What the BDs and the GDs?
Yeah, they
were
used to be black gangster
No,
disciples.
but beyond that, like, were they always cool? Like, or did they,
They
have
were
to
cool.
become cool?
No, they was cool.
So they were always
They
cool. And then
unified.
they later on split up. That's how I felt like it is on the west side. That's how I felt like it was like in New York, like in all the real
But I'ma
major
tell you,
cities. It's
you know what
always like
happened?
this divide.
You know what happened? Drugs.
That's
Drugs
it.
split
So
them
that's
up.
the least, like
Because
literally.
look, I, Gangster Larry Hoover, and y'all are my disciples. We got to remember, these are two different people. You got the BDs and the GDs coming in as black gangster disciples, right? And these guys, had a formation, that came together with the Six and, everything. But when David passed on or whatever, you know what I'm saying, Larry Hoover felt like, he the king. You know what I'm saying? He king, You know what I'm saying? Larry Hoover, and y'all are my disciples. So it's nothing before the G. You know what I'm saying? I gangster Larry Hoover. I'm the gangster, and y'all are my disciples. So that's GD. Nothing else. It ain't no BGD. You know what I'm saying? You know, Black Gangster Disciples. So it's like, and that's where people different was like, no, that ain't how they go. We loyal to David. It's loyalty.
like,
I love
David,
that they stand on that.
King David.
it's like even like in the West Coast ideology where it's like the legend of Raymond Washington, the Big Jamel Barnes, and like everybody who was like responsible for their like establishment of that, like there's still some allegiance within like that East Coast East Side Crip faction, and West Side Crip faction. It's just split amongst like even because like I'm not gonna say I'm not like a fucking like book on this shit, but I remember before there was anything to do with anything like all these games had different names and shit.
Yeah.
They went by different like
Boss
ideologies.
mans.
Yeah,
You know
gladiators,
what I'm saying?
and all this
Gladiators.
shit. They all came up under the same umbrella, but then it's like there are some beefs that can't just be tied to drugs alone.
Yeah,
right?
but because it's little stuff that happens before, you know what I'm saying? And they will even tell you like it's boxing matches and stuff. But get downs like that, everybody squab, big at skating rinks and stuff like that.
You up and
But
embarrassed you,
it went to the point where drugs came in and people had automatic weapons.
Yes.
You see what I'm saying? Yeah, you a bust at a couple of cats with a 12
And
gauge.
at the same
you know what I'm saying?
time,
Run
now
up
we're
on the
getting
crowd,
crack cocaine and drug laws are
yeah,
changing.
we got them. That type of thing. But when you talking about missiles, you talking about Uzis, Tech 9s. You know what I'm saying?
Street sweepers.
Yeah, like, dude, this was something out of the week. That was on TV. We seen that with Rambo. So you got little kids that grew up watching Rambo get a Rambo gun. He 13 years old.
And
a
some
grown
money.
man sat up there and just took his money for selling, drugs or something to him.
That
thought
was
he was
a big
kid. And here go the disrespect. Now you disrespect
that's a dividing
me.
line.
I don't respect you no more.
Yep.
Because you took it so bad where you want this drug so bad where you are rob and do this to me. So now I don't even respect you. So the loss of respect for the young, to the old, was disappeared. So now we look at the kids today, 3 generations into this. They don't respect no elder. I'm 50 years old, man. Them people, they be like, man, you're an old head.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's a disrespect with even in like saying like the age status, like it's so apparent. Like even me, like I'm 37 years old, and it's like
that's me.
Oh. I was like, it sound like somebody clapping. Like it sound like this. It's a disrespect even toward me, like calling me up because I'm middle aged man, and it's like, damn, like
you unk now.
Yeah, you feel and I take that. I got that one gray hair in my beard, and I rock that motherfucker proudly.
You should.
I even tried to trim my beard, and I like went out of the way just to make sure it was still there.
You should.
'Cause I heard that motherfucker. Goddamn it.
You should.
I'm still here, 37, still rocking. But like, I just like what I wanted to bring home was like, can anybody take responsibility for what we consider as the YNs or the crash outs? Like, could my generation take responsibility?
Nah, it ain't y'all.
No.
Because y'all generation, because the ones before.
It's ours.
So that's what I'm like trying to figure out.
But I would not say that we were aware of what was occurring.
But this is my because I'm schooled by y'all generation. You
right.
feel me?
And that's why.
So I feel like it's, in my opinion, it's like a 50-50 thing. But at the same time, y'all schooled me, y'all generation schooled me so well to this, like I was able to like back up from the bullshit and go on my own motherfucking lane and create my own fucking lane.
But
that's
we have to have
guys,
people
though.
like you willing to see that. It's different when somebody tell me, I know, and he ain't listening and apply it, bro. You applied the formula. With your big homie,
it was
right?
It was a lot that goes into it, right? It was not
Big
only
Papa, right?
Like the verbal wisdom, but it was like the visual examples.
Big Papa,
Of
yo,
like,
yo, big homie,
you feel
right?
me?
Did
Yeah.
he not show you like, okay, boom, this what you should be doing, Papa?
Always.
Fuck all that
I've
dumb
always
shit.
been school. And
I
that,
know
that,
we
that goes even beyond the street shit. That goes beyond my family too, because they are like literally the epitome of this shit. You feel me? And it's
so
like
now
I've always known the difference between like
that's the G shit that's have to be displayed. Because you are the prime example of what the G
but
shit.
I felt like, in my opinion, like that's why I feel I take a responsibility for it, because I felt like I just took it and ran with it.
Listen, bro. Listen,
Right?
listen. You still was the product of it happening to you, right?
If you would have took and ran
we
with
seen it before.
you chose
we
the
know.
right
We-
track
yeah.
to run on.
I got you.
Okay,
we seen it
I got
before.
you know
what
there's
it's
another
supposed to
track
be.
you could have
But
got
then
on.
Is the reason why we even
but
talking
at the
about
same
it.
time, I leave this void in between this knowledge that could be spread
You
to
spreading it right now,
niggas
dog.
that's just like me.
You spreading it.
You
You
feel
spreading
me?
it right now
Yeah.
because
I
you're
dig it.
performing.
Yeah.
You're
dig it.
performing. It's different if motherfucker just talking. You're literally performing. Motherfucker come
can
right here,
see.
right now, and do what you could show
But
them.
like, y'all don't ever feel like sometimes the damage is done, and like sometimes the fire is already lit,
Man,
and
look, I love to,
everything is ablaze already.
I love to say overtime shit happens. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So as long as something happening, it's gonna be a cause and effect to have an effect, and it's gonna steady grow.
And you have to realize that like 99% of what has occurred is beyond all one's control.
Because it's
Because there's a higher thing that floats above us,
Got you.
and
playing with little strings and puppeteering
and it's
stuff.
all an experience.
Yes.
Everything's
Life
an
is an
experience.
experience.
We cannot predict or foresee as way we want to make everything happen. But the little bits and pieces that we can see and utilize, that's what we play with. And leave a legacy to show everybody else. Because like right now, we're looking back millions of years that things happen. We are able to do that. So just imagine another million years or whatever we had germinated now to be able to germinate a million years in the future. And it starts with you just with this podcast.
As long as you
And-
ain't.
And that's what cause I know exactly what you about to say.
Yeah.
I don't want to be preachy. I'm not preachy. Like I didn't like it when it was done to me. Like, because I feel like I'm being told this by somebody, not that I thought that I was smarter than, but somebody that I thought on the same wavelength than. So you're preaching to
All
the choir
kids think they
type
know.
of mentality.
All
but
kids
but it
think
was
they
like
know.
at the same time I was sometimes right. You right? So that allowed me to like that confidence within myself towards like
You're gonna make adjustments.
I can make adjustments and never challenge myself.
Yeah.
When it comes to like exactly what I'm thinking and how I feel.
Yeah.
Because I feel like at the end of the day, like I have like knowledge that I grew up on, newfound knowledge, and knowledge yet to become. And I always treated that accordingly. So I've never been like
I didn't know what it was gonna take. Well, I didn't know what I was gonna do when I moved here to Los Angeles, right? But I knew what it had to take to move it here, right? It took a lot to be able to withstand. It took a lot to stay focused. You know what I'm saying? And those things, man.
And that was even prior to meeting me.
You have to instill into the kids, right? To come out in this world. You know what I'm saying? To take those challenges, because those challenges are going to prepare you and your future for your children's to be able to learn from that. You know what I'm saying? Because it goes into the DNA. And regardless of however we have this legacy, we want it to keep growing. You know what I'm saying? Rather if it's your children, your cousin,
It
whoever,
doesn't
somebody,
matter.
yeah,
It
whoever
just
can
needs
pick
to
it
be
up.
a child.
Yeah, somebody can take it and run with it and do it 10 times, 30, 100 times better than
Don't
you.
you have people who,
You know,
other than your family members or bloodline, you have people maybe at school or, at the corner store or something prior to you being like 16, 15 that kind of like showed you some stuff that like you didn't get at home, you know, and it helped to develop
Yeah.
who you were
And I think that's what
today.
I think that's one of like the benefits. That's why I feel responsible for not being there for the young niggas that's like came up exactly,
Bro,
if not worse than I did.
I would say this, right? You know,
Because I actually not only knew better, but been there, done that,
okay.
right? And it's like I had those people that was like, nah, bro, that ain't the thing to do. Like that ain't what's
So
popping.
Yes.
But
gonna
I wasn't there to be there. And then when I actually when I was trying to be there, it was a little too late because I wasn't there long enough to establish that much influence.
I would say, and I'm not, you know, I ain't a biblical person, but you had to go on the journey, bro. It ain't automatically given to you, right? You had to go on a journey as Moses, uh, having 40 years of preacherhood in Egypt, right? He had 40 years in preacherhood, so he knew what the Egyptian knew. He knew the 42 negative confession of Ma'at, all this stuff right there. He knew thou shalt not kill, right? But he still had to run off,
Yeah, because that nigga killed.
right? Because he knew better, right?
That motherfucker killed.
But he had to come back and bring 10 of them damn commandments back up like, hey, man,
Yeah.
this, and this, and this. But he came back, you know what I'm saying, after he learned, you know what I'm saying, that this is, you know, I messed up, but I went and found out some other stuff, man, and this ain't right, you know what I'm saying, and just redeemed himself by trying to make the work right. You know what I'm saying? You can reach back, you can be, you know, have this little guilt feeling or whatever, and you can go and, you know what I'm saying, redeem yourself. But the truth is, by you doing the work, man, you are redeeming yourself from not being there because you already had to take the journey. It takes a time to learn a lot of this shit. And life is so fast, we tend to think that, you know, we got more time. And 50 come around the corner quick.
Facts, because I'm 37.
Hey man, we've been knowing you since you
You know
was
what I'm
before
saying?
you was
That
27.
part
Right.
there,
So,
man.
like,
Yeah.
you know, and you know, just within that time, us making movies and all type of little
Yeah.
crazy shit. You know what I'm saying? We
Yeah.
had to
Trying to
learn to
expand.
develop shit. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? You know, even like
Yeah, to
these
make the money,
podcasts, you
spend
know,
the time,
where we
to
at right
gain
now.
the
You had to
knowledge.
grow to this point. It was a journey, bro.
Yeah.
And you have a whole legacy to explain to everybody. You know, this wasn't easy. You know what I'm saying? Can't nobody say,
No.
"Oh man, this was given to you. You built this shit bit by bit." We came up with crazy ideas. You completed your crazy ideas. I completed my crazy ideas. She done completed her crazy ideas. In life, it was all a journey. We can vouch for that right now.
Our
You know what I'm
crazy
saying? You like,
idea
man, your
was to
bacon.
have a
What's that?
black-owned
Your
Chinese
BLT.
restaurant.
Your BLT restaurant. You know, you come to the restaurant, want a BLT. Like, man, can y'all fix me one before it closed? And like, it's
Because
a
of our
fiend.
crazy
You was
ass
geeking for
fucking
BLTs.
ideas.
You know what I'm
Oh,
saying?
God.
So, I mean, think about it. It was a
Oh,
journey,
God.
bro. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So everything.
We would have never had a black-owned Chinese restaurant if we didn't journey our way here to Los Angeles.
Yeah.
Who's to say we would have ever did that?
Yeah,
More
and we
than like
did it. Like we
Yeah,
did it. You
like,
know, like nigga.
written in
This
stone.
nigga had a
Cashew
straight up.
pork was off the hook.
Yeah, you know what I mean. Like this is a rush hour for moment for real with a dude named Kenny,
Yeah.
right? On which was Don Cheeto.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It had a Chinese restaurant. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
come on, bro. What kind of dream you could fulfill like that? It's the most funniest shit in the world. You know what I mean?
You had to
I
go
did.
through
And
some shit.
I had to go through Skid Row.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? To make this happen. I've been on TV
When
and
you
all
first met us, we didn't have an apartment.
Yes, we did. That's what
Did we?
yeah. We was living in an apartment. I was
Oh,
in the back
maybe I
payment.
just was in the front, just
Yeah.
because I did used
We
to
used
always
to
stop
hang
and
out.
smoke a cigarette before I went to take care of my mom.
My ex, she had found your wallet.
Yeah.
And she was trying to do some janky shit. I was like, hell no, because I always lose my wallet. And it just made me feel like, what if somebody did that shit to me? Like, hell no, I hated that
Right.
shit. So,
Right.
for sure.
Yeah, but you know,
That's
it's all a journey, bro.
Yeah.
Like
I
we
don't
was
feel
living
like,
in a mansion, bro.
and I don't feel like you should feel
Think about that.
guilty.
That was a journey in itself right there. Living in a mansion, man, 56 acres. people come out, 400 people come out to the house and party. We had parties and clubs and stuff in the house and shit, man. Like, you can roller skate in that motherfucker, do anything you want.
I just feel like sometimes it be just like too late for some people to actually get this. Because it's like they give you to 25, right? To where you got this mental breakthrough that, oh, maybe I shouldn't be doing this shit.
Yeah, because
Right?
5 years later, you're going to be 30.
Yeah, right? But it's like not only that, but it's like they say you're not mentally mature
I know.
Your
scientifically,
brain
right?
hasn't
But it's like
got the what is
there's
it?
so
Conscious.
much shit that can happen between the ages of fucking 15 to 20
Yeah,
Yeah.
but see, this
that are ridiculous. Like it is the real
We're
life
not in the-
changing.
There's a lot of
we're not in
lot
a
of changes in
society.
there.
We're not in a society that develop our mind to be better.
And that's my whole thing, right?
Right.
It's because like the environment that's around us. Like I always used to like talk shit about, and I still do. Like people that's like from the valley and they got like talk like white people is how I say.
Like, oh my God, gag me with a
you feel me? Because it's like
spoon.
this. Why doesn't a Jamaican who speaks with an accent or speaks from the dialect that his parents taught him, why does he have an accent and I speak with slang when this is how my fucking family spoke?
Right.
Right?
Right.
So like that. So at the same time, but yeah.
Rap.
Yeah.
That's pretty much what we talk rap.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. But at the same time, I'm not gonna hold y'all for too long, but I just wanted to. I know I'm not even in focus right now, but I'm on
Yeah,
camera.
you're in focus.
Yeah, I don't really do this shit, but I just wanted to
That's good.
iron out some ideas, man. This might be the first of many because I'm really still camera shy to the motherfucker. I don't like this shit. Not even
It's
camera
okay.
shy. I don't like it.
Well, you know,
But
I
I'm
I
just
love to take
compelled.
control, so all you gotta do is ask questions.
Yeah. I'll probably be the voice off camera next time, like fishing out ideas and maybe like because I felt like as far as like I can't just isolate this situation to being a Los Angeles situation,
It
in St.
isn't.
Louis. It's
It
all
isn't.
and it happened
Yeah.
at the same.
I told you it was like
Time.
COVID. It's just
Yes.
man,
Like,
look,
It
It
is
was a strategic
it's crazy.
plan.
yeah.
It's crazy.
You talking
'cause
about
it's
black
like,
businesses
that
was
means
everywhere.
Every fucking where you go where there is a black community, there's no fucking safe haven.
We had a hospital called
right?
Homer G. Phillips, bro, and it was a black facility where black people historically came there and got their doctrines, they all their teachings and stuff. And when I was a kid in 1979, they closed it down. And I remember as a kid, man, people stood in front of that place to stop the people from closing it down, literally with their bodies for 80 days.
And it was closed down because the local politicians did not do what they said that they were going to do.
And we talking about people from all over L.A.
Not
Down,
because they were a horrible
Louisiana,
hospital.
They came to St. Louis to go to that hospital
All
because
of
it was
the
the only
South,
black.
Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, Louisiana, everything that's in that little cusp, the little Bible Belt part, Arkansas, all of that used to go up there. Even for an emergency.
Yeah.
If somebody broke their leg, they driving from Georgia to St. Louis to go get their leg
They had a
fixed.
child's home in them. They had a children's home. It was called Annie Malone Home for the children.
A senior facility, a teaching facility.
I lived 2 streets
an
over from that.
internship facility.
And I was an asthmatic when I was a kid, and I used to go to that facility, bro. And they literally took it down.
Hey, and I would like
crack
cocaine came around in 1979.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
So we can get on a whole lot of different subjects, man.
Do you
but
feel like you are having somewhat a better understanding of like how it could occur?
Because there's like it's a lot of gray areas still, right? Because there is different phases as to how you can like bring the whole dynamic. Because like you could say that out of all the gangs in I would just use for an example the city of Los Angeles, there be that gang whose rivalry is drug influence, and that one who's an actual blood feud. right?
Right.
Like on some Hatfield and McCoy type shit.
Right.
And then, even with that being said, like these are people who went to the same school with each other, just like know where each other stayed. That's why like it was such a mass murder in those times because a lot of them people knew exactly where the fuck to go.
Because
Nowadays you gotta don't
Because
get
we
caught
actually
I'ma
slipping.
tell you like
had
this.
shit then.
I'm gonna tell you like this too, bro.
Crazy.
The truth is, you ain't gotta be smoking drugs to be addicted to drugs, right? You get addicted by selling it. So
That's why
for
they had
every
drug
reactions
courts.
that was going on, it was a result of what we didn't know that was happening. That's why we're trying to fix it now because we didn't know that this was going to be a reaction or an effect, not an effect, but an effect to what's going on. You know what I'm saying? That we see today. So we are responsible for that because when it happened, we were naive, but as it was going on, we were learning too. You know what I'm saying? And from that effect, we just have to call responsibility. Like that's all us.
And it's like this, and I understand like because it's like I don't. As for me being a realist, right? I don't take it as to just like, yeah, the crack epidemic was fucking bad. My whole life was affected by it, but there are things that came out of it, like mentality, how to watch out for motherfuckers, like game that's like invaluable that you can't learn in no fucking
I
university.
feel
Yeah.
like we
Like, you
had
feel
that
me?
even
Like,
before
Yeah.
because we
but
have always
yeah,
had
but I
that,
felt
but
like
not as much maybe
it
towards each other.
it became more militarized and more militant than the act of just like
That's why.
marching in the
Because
That's
street.
why
we
when it
had
hit St.
weapons.
Louis, it eliminated a lot of different uh, siding. You know what I'm saying? Like you have all these different gangs all over the hood, and certain ones probably mess with. Where now it's up under two colors.
Got you.
You see what I'm saying? Like so now it's unified. It just like you said, militarized
That's how
everything.
it feels. Like,
Yeah.
because in my generation, like my uncles, militarized,
But
right?
but remember,
Like
we the
street
Cubs.
militarized.
We the
We
Cubs of
the
the Panthers.
Your
Yeah.
uncle's gonna be the Cubs of the
Cause they
Panthers.
were like on my oldest, my dad born in '59, right? My oldest uncle is like my youngest uncle is 64. I would say that,
So
right?
Mhm.
So he's of the ones towards like
the jacket game.
I'm not gonna be part what my little
Yeah.
brothers is doing. Like he's the divide towards like I'm gonna do this instead of what they're doing. Like and like he went his own route versus kind of like what I not like because I actually was like following in my uncle's and my dad's footsteps. Like as far as like not all my dad's footsteps because there was some shit he did that's not even a part of my genetic makeup. I don't know how it became part of his to pass down to me or at all. But like there is like this certain like attitude to have like as far as being a black man like especially in the city of Los Angeles like you can't be no punk ain't no turning down nothing like it's
and that's why
on site like there's a certain type of like attitude in LA that is like I'm just accustomed to and I think it makes me who I am because it makes me not play with nobody and expect anybody to play with me and I think that's like a level of maturity like that I was blessed with that I felt like I did not pass on
certain type of
to like
bravado.
yeah
You know what I'm saying?
and not even a vibrato like you mean that shit from the bottom of your like the hairs of your fucking like
But it's a self
it's
pride.
this quote right my grandma said my uncle says it like the whole win lose or draw that's it
That's it. I get it.
so like there's no like statement to be
Participant
made.
trophy.
Yeah, no statement to be made. I don't
Yeah.
need no 2 cookies, no
Yeah.
nothing. It's just
It is what
stepped
it
on my
is.
motherfucking shoe. Like like that type of shit. But at the same time, it's self-destructive. But it makes me the force to be working with, and it's not nothing like I'm using it as a badge of honor
But,
or like
like-
it just like I'm not no. It's sucker free. I would just say that.
But see,
It's a sucker free
but
mentality.
this the beauty of it. You know how to adjust it.
Yeah.
See, it's the difference when you just shoot off because there was
Yeah.
a time that you did, right? You know, like in life, you know, you was like, fuck it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But now you can adjust it.
And it seemed like it's regressing back to that because I think my generation is the one. Because, like, all the ones that's my age, bro, literally, like, went that way or locked the fuck up. Swear to fucking God. Like, I have the small, y'all, bro, like, when it comes to, having, like, because y'all, like, are the Generation X, y'all Generation X, right?
Yeah.
The smallest generation, right? How about having, like, the fucking, one right after y'all, but you don't see them motherfuckers nowhere because they dead or jail.
Well, I don't know,
Or
because a lot of
somewhere
y'all
hurting it
age
off.
brackets
was
is
taking a
raising
lot of
these
risks. Them
raggedy
little
ass
motherfuckers-
kids.
That's all. No. But at the same time, yeah. But it's a mixture because, like, my kid, if I was to have kids right now, let's say when I got out of high school, 2005, like, my kid would be 20 right now.
He would be King's age.
King ain't 20.
20. He was born in 2006, bro.
King ain't no motherfucking 20.
Nah, he ain't 20.
King was
Oh.
born in 2006. Okay. So you'd be having a kid around King's age. Y'all
In
age
December,
is
he
the
will be
ones
19,
that's
though.
raising King, not our age. Our age is raise y'all.
But not necessarily.
Or an
because-
under,
No,
because
Valencia-
Shay's
'cause you gotta think
31.
about Valencia's
She
35.
30.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I was about to say. That's technically in my age bracket.
And I had a kid at 20. He had one at 15. See, that's the
See, that's
gap.
what breaks the whole. But at the same time, like, you kind of step into that, like, that generation of those children because you're actually, like, not even supposed to be having kids at that time.
No.
Shit.
No.
15 years old, the baby
Sniper!
boy. Man. So,
But he has a
Snipers!
kid that is qualified as a millennial. It's not a Gen X
Yeah. Well, Valencia
because
was
it's
born
born
in
in
90.
90. You see what I'm saying? So she's a millennial, right?
so I'm technically millennial too because I'm born in 87.
Yeah.
So that's
you're
like right on
right
the
on the cut.
cusp. Yeah.
We was cutting you off.
Yeah, I'm like, got some Gen X qualities and.
It's because they
Yeah.
knew crack cocaine. Do you know
Well,
that
that's
your
what they call us, the crack babies.
But no, and because that proves the point that no
But I didn't have no
one,
motherfucking crack in my system.
no, it doesn't matter. It did not exist.
Yeah.
Prior, it wasn't even a term. It was something they had to discover.
That shit came in like the 90s.
No, because this the problem. The crack
late 80s, early 90s.
But the crack babies were born. It took about 5 years before they seen. Remember, crack ain't never,
Didn't
there's
happen.
no study on it. There's no study.
So let's say 79, you say crack
Came around 79, 80.
79,
That,
80.
like, to the,
So all those that, because, like, and I would say when I remember in the 90s, it was bad. Like,
Okay,
By that
and
as
time,
a
I'll tell you
kid,
the difference because
they
so
had
like
all type of different
79,
shit then by
it
that
was
time.
still the people who were connected that had the cocaine.
Right.
That so you had to be like the chemist to know about that. And your little
And you
click,
see,
right?
Richard Pryor set himself on fire, right?
right? So then by the time you're getting to like 82, right? Now you're getting to 82. So now it's becoming a little bit more of like a thing. It's getting a little bit more easier to access and get and stuff like that,
Yep.
right? So by the time we're at like
'Cause you
83,
look, you going to run into them gay people. The gay people had it. You know what I'm saying? That's how a lot of people was getting.
that was
hooked
a
up.
way to get it through the discos and the clubs and
Yeah,
start
in the hood,
freebasing.
You go to the hood.
You had to have a
know,
little
the hood
money,
would
though.
Go to the gay
That's
clubs and
crazy.
sell.
You had to have a little money though. You hadn't got down to the neighborhood
Yeah.
yet. You see?
This
So,
was going into the club.
By the time you get down, see, because the clubs ain't having the babies, right? So by the time you get down where you putting it in the communities, you're at about 81, 82, 83, right?
Mm.
It's
AIDS out by that time.
popping.
AIDS is out by that time too.
It's Yes, it's popping now in
And
the
this is actual
community.
free, like, not, is it free base? Like, that is the
It
actual
was
base,
smoking
smokable
on
cocaine.
a
cocaine.
glass
Yeah.
pipe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
So,
wasn't snorting it. You
No.
actually smoking.
And you didn't inject it either.
like, because there was one process they were saying that they was using ether. Like, that's how fucking Richard Pryor blew himself up, right?
Yeah, well,
I think because he was
had that-
cleaning
Was that like
his
a combustible?
materials with ether.
he had that Everclear shit.
Oh, yeah. Because he
What the
used to
fuck is
clean your
Everclear?
materials
You
and
don't know what
burn. And,
Everclear is?
Uh-uh.
That
I
187
smoke
proof.
weed.
I smoke weed.
Oh, is it alcohol?
Yeah,
Oh, shit. Oh, this nigga tripping.
yeah, he had 180.
You putting 100...
They use it for a lighter, right?
Well,
It's just like
I
if you
remember
take the-
my mom used to have it. She had a mirror, and she used to use regular alcohol, and then she would pour the alcohol on the mirror and like set the mirror on fire, right? And then take her bubbler and kind of put it over the fire, like right here, and get it a little bit hot. Then she put her dope on there, and then she'll get her lighter and light it so she could.
So
This is gonna burn out because it was just the regular alcohol. The little,
right, and just like the hand sanitizer, you know what I'm saying? You can set it on fire, you don't know it's on fire. This is 151. This is Everclear.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Not 151. That's Bacardi, but it's a 180 proof liquor. You know what I'm saying? And you just dip. They have a little rod, a hanger or something with toilet paper at the end. Dip it in there, light it, and they can smoke their dope with it. But if you get high and drop it like that, you know what I'm saying, or that shit spill, nigga, that ain't nothing but like gasoline.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
So,
what I know. Like, yeah,
by the
100
time you're
over
getting
a
to like
motherfucking
83,
180 proof.
84, we're having it in our communities.
Yeah.
By the time
This is
those
dare
people,
programs.
yeah,
got the dare
that was
program.
like, yes.
You know what
So
I'm saying?
see,
Say
by
no to
that
drugs, 'cause
time,
you got Nancy
Reagan.
would say no to drugs.
This
and
is
that
all
stuff.
before 87, sweetheart.
Wow. 'Cause I'm like, yeah.
You know.
That's probably how I was able to be saved and like not be a crack baby because like they already on the combat
Because
of the
by the
system.
time it got
But that's
to
what
the
that's the
hood,
hypocrisy. That's why I'm saying like this, right? So out of all real honesty of saying fuck Reagan and fuck Nancy Reagan and just say no and all of this shit, was there a real benefit to what she actually did in the community? Did she do
No.
anything?
No.
Was it just a slogan?
No.
foundation. It's just a
first of all, you know
foundation.
what? They didn't even used to gear that to the people, the kids who actually lived in the drug communities. That shit was geared more towards like the uppity people.
Oh, so it's like a deterrent for
Yeah,
okay,
For-
versus
They wasn't
concert
going to
for
the hood
others
like
versus
when it
actually
first
being for
came
the
out.
community affected.
When it first came out, no. And just
Gotcha.
because you chant and cheering, give us a bumper sticker and a fucking pencil, don't mean shit.
Yeah, it wasn't.
What did that do?
Cause I remember there, I ain't never like
Y'all
I used to know-
got to participate in that more than we did.
I knew, and now that I'm older, I knew what the fuck was. I know what the fuck was going on.
And remember,
But I didn't know about no fucking drug until, like, specifically, like, until there. Like,
That was the problem.
that's with a family
you
that
They were the
sells drugs.
introducers of the drugs.
yeah, you got to remember.
That was crazy.
We were the kids that came out. You know, that's supposed to be civil rights. You know what I'm saying? Like we supposed to be getting some civil rights. It was nothing.
And wasn't that the whole Black Panther incentive is to be anti-drugs, no alcohol,
Yes.
no nothing?
Yes.
So how did that shit just all
'Cause
go out
they
the window?
we don't grow drugs
Especially-
here.
and then that's what makes me even more confused, right? Because why doesn't that like fuel the fire?
Because bro,
Because in this generation right now,
They took
like
away
where we
those
at
guys.
right now, it's like, yeah, kill one of ours if you want to.
because look,
we gonna
this what
set
happened.
this bitch on fire.
this what happened,
Like,
right?
facts.
This what happened. When they killed everybody in the 60s, they didn't give us who they killed. They didn't give us Geronimo Pratt to stand up and fight right back then. We had to learn underground. And now we come out and we singing this rap. We singing this hip hop. You know what I'm saying? It's a revolution now going on, and it won't be televised, but it's actually being televised right in front
That's
of.
what I feel like we doing. We're televising a revolution.
Yes.
Not only that, we're being our own POWs.
That
We're
part.
being our own
Yes.
fucking
Yes.
KIAs,
Yeah.
right?
Guilt in
That
action.
is
Right? We're because like it seems to like have like done the fucking and it doesn't make sense on a logical now as far as conditioning and mentally conditioning like people actually experience because I haven't experienced it. I only saw the fucking the residual aspect of the shit. But it seems to me like if I was in and that's putting myself in somebody's shoes that I don't size that I wear, right? But if it feels like if that was something to me to where it's like, motherfucker, you killed my leaders, you influx of my community with drugs, it's like you just use shit on
See,
every
the leaders were killed quite a few years
I know, but
before
it's
the
like
drugs
it's
came.
but we all know it's the destabilization of a movement.
Yes.
We all know now. Now, even especially now.
But now you dealing with abused people, right?
But it's like how like I know Stockholm syndrome is not that thick towards like not
I
only
don't
do we
I
love
disagree
our
with that.
abuser, we
Yes.
take on
Yeah,
his
yeah,
traits.
Yes.
yeah. Look at the
Yes.
hair.
Mirror
Look at
what
the
he's doing.
look at that
Yes.
hair. Yeah, look,
Absolutely.
man. Look at Gorilla and all them. They man, you
Oh my
know the white man used to have them women on them forums like that, man.
Yes.
That's crazy.
Now he ain't even got to whip them or nothing. They just go out there and do it. For
Farms.
everybody to see it, bro. Look what I got.
How
Look
many
at
times you seen the
She a
movie at our
stallion.
house?
Look,
How
she
many
a
times
stallion.
you seen
No,
the movie?
damn well
you
it's
need
supposed to be a
update?
mayor.
Nah,
Right? It's supposed to be a mayor.
You
You're
want to
supposed to be a mayor
update?
instead of a stallion, but you let the world let him call you a stallion, but Megan the stallion, but you supposed to be a mayor. You supposed to be a mayor. Why are you a
That's what I
stallion?
thought people were. But I don't want to get I get that ideology, but I don't know, especially in
But
this time.
that's where those things come from,
Yeah.
though.
It passed down, bro, and we don't see it like it. You know, we
You got to
we-
remember, in
we
the
get no-
beginning of hip
what I'm
hop,
saying is
women were
it's a
fully
norm now.
clothed.
it's
So,
a norm. It's
does that-
become a norm.
All right, so with the Native Americans who basically lives in an occupied country with a whole nation, many nations fighting for their independence within their shit, right? Why isn't there like a sudden like? Well, I can't say that they all join because they have their own reservations.
Because
Not all of them,
I'm
but
gonna tell you
there's
like this.
That's a
Groups that
fine
have their own
line,
reservations.
too.
I'm gonna tell you like this because this I'll break it down like this. Native mean you were born here, right? So the reason why those people are called Native Americans because it was a time when they actually came, so people know when they came here, which not make them indigenous. You see what I'm saying? So with the government knowing that, by labeling them Native Americans and giving them certain rights and putting them on that reservation, allow the Doles Act, the $5 Indian to come in and do what it do
And
to
have the
take
land.
over, to have the land, which the indigenous people who are very dark, they misplaced them by using the word Negro and black historically.
But
Or
I do,
murders.
like I have like Native Americans in my family that's like both colors,
Yeah,
right?
right.
Like they look. I would call they look Hispanic,
You
They
have you,
right? Or not, I'm not gonna say Hispanic or like
Native.
native, right? Then I have those that's like that look like me,
Right.
right? But
So-
they all from Carlsbad, New Mexico.
So what
And
I'm
they-
saying is
it-
that's the difference, right?
Yeah,
Because you have
Probably
the Native
indigenous
American
and Native.
and indigenous. You see what I'm saying? Because those people that's lighter walk down into it. You know what I'm saying? From Siberia, that's why you have Eskimos.
Did your
'cause they
grandmother
Native
move from the
Americans
South?
and walk down.
yep. She
And-
came from Carlsbad, New Mexico, to Stanford,
I
Texas.
said the South.
That's the South.
But she's basically on the Trail of Tears.
Yeah.
Right.
That's why
Yeah.
she would be Native American as opposed to like
Yeah.
the Creole or something
'Cause,
of
like,
that
I don't,
degree.
Like when we do our research, like with my grandma, it goes only to Carlsbad, New Mexico. But with my grandpa, well, my grandma's side, it even goes on my who I've known as my grandpa, who's not biologically my grandfather, but like my auntie and my uncle's father, not versus my father's dad who died when he was young, who also like my uncle just told me earlier that that motherfucker was Native American too. Like, but and that's shit I didn't know. Like real talk. Like and that was when he said it, it was like, motherfucker, did you just say that? Like, wait a minute, what? But and it
Because
explains my
that's the
sister's
diff. That's what I'm saying.
my DNA test.
That's what I'm saying.
But,
Because it's a difference, right? Because this is how they get over, right? These two words, Native American and indigenous.
that's what it says, indigenous American.
So boom, what I'm
Ownership,
telling you, when
yeah.
you're indigenous, you're very dark.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You are. It's no time when your
That-
people
I
was
thought
here.
That was weird as fuck. Because it
Native
was like,
Americans.
Yeah, it had Native American. It was like probably like 1.3, and then for indigenous American, it was like 6.9 and shit. I was like, what the fuck? Like,
So
what's the difference? Like,
it's a
There
big
is
a
difference.
difference.
It's a big difference. You have
You
the
should be happy it
Eurasian,
says
right?
indigenous.
The people
Yeah.
from Siberia. They, if you go look them up right now, they got the same type of tents and the same everything, bro. But they walked over the ice. This is why you have Eskimos in Alaska and all this stuff.
But
Because all that was walkable.
I would say this too. Would it be also possible that the Africans that circumnavigated the transatlantic, like, also interbred with the Native American or that Mongol population that was
they
here
did too. But
post Columbus?
they did too. What I'm saying is, when they came down, they already had people to cohabitate with.
Because I always say
You
this shit,
know what
right?
I'm saying? The
Like-
other ones coming over, that was a free.
And
a
then
treat.
it's like too,
But-
if you think about it, if they came over to Africa, came to South America, and then came up to what we now call the United States, and then those people would be qualified as natives, not indigenous.
Yeah, because the ones that was already down in South America is indigenous. The
Those,
Inca and
but
all
the
them
ones
stuff,
that
Yeah.
came,
The one came
here would
down.
be
That's
qualified
was
as
saying, 'cause
Native
my,
they
American.
cohabitate.
My
And
grandma's-
those ones
her,
could have got mixed before they came over.
Her lineage goes back. Where's my fucking phone? I can tell you already. But it goes back to Carlsbad, New Mexico, and then my grandfather's his lineage goes back to this shit called the Cushenberry tribe. That's in Topeka, Kansas.
Mm-hmm.
Like they actually had like this big ass law settlement.
Mhm.
Like the city had took their land.
Yes,
then
all that was
resold it,
going
and
on.
they
If
was
you
trying to
take
fight
your
back.
DNA test, you probably can go and
But
see
I'm
if
not
you can
directly related to him. I'm related to him by way
get marriage.
my yeah, like my grandmother had my dad first. His father died. Then she married later my grandfather, who I know as my
And
grandfather,
that's the person.
and that's the person who's related to these people.
Right.
So
But they still have like a moral foundation I would have found or whatever. Because
Mhm.
basically what it is, we have been displaced so much in there. And after 2007, something like that, they made a law where we can basically get our status as Native Americans.
sovereign.
Sovereign Native Americans. And it's a whole little website you go through
yeah.
to do it, whatever, man.
Cause
And
I always I ain't even like one to one. They claim I just know already.
Yeah.
Like you feel me? Because
yeah, no, it's some
I grew
things
up
because
with
what it
this
is,
shit. Like,
and they'll run your test and see what region that
Winston, y'all
your
ate my
bloodline
fucking
would
rabbit.
be in. You know what I'm saying? So I had.
I
looked
love
into
you
that.
though, but you ate my rabbit, bro. Yeah, I know y'all did. Swear to God, 1998.
Rabbit is
I
good.
never forget that shit.
Oh no, we have a rabbit at
I
Shay
ain't had
house.
a pet since.
Did we tell you Shay a parakeet landed on her door?
Oh, for real?
A parakeet. So me and Shay was sitting at the house. King was coming back, and we kept hearing like a little peep peep, right? And so I was like, oh, maybe it's a scooter.
It was
Right.
a wild parakeet.
I don't know how wild it was. Like, you know, the way that her house is, it doesn't face like no like direct street or nothing like that.
Yeah.
So we kept hearing it, and so like King comes in, he didn't see the parakeet. So we're like, King, let's listen if this noise is gonna happen. So the noise happened. So we go. I tell Shay, I'm like, hey, don't open the door until I'm ready, right? So she's like, I'm like, people can lure you outside just for your kids. We're women and kids, you know. So we go and it's just sitting like just clawed right there on the thing. We open the door, it doesn't fly away, and we go to try to get it. It flied a little bit, went to like another little area, then let us pick them up and put them in a little box.
Now he's still alive?
Yes. She
Damn.
went and bought him a cage and food, and she's
He chillin'.
like, she took him on a field trip yesterday to a birthday party. He had fun though. He was singing.
Damn. I remember the first parakeet I ever found, because you know they wild out here. Like you can see a whole.
Yeah,
flock of
King
them.
said he had seen some. I'm like,
Yeah.
that motherfucker got stuck at our house. He wanted to be taken.
Probably
landed.
brought some more there.
I wouldn't got it because I knew if I touched it, it would like put it in stress. But I would just put like a towel over it, just put it over his head just to block the light out, because I know they go to sleep when you close the light.
Right.
And I grabbed it, and as soon as I got to the house, I don't know how the fuck he got from under that damn thing, but he flew up and just was out of there. I was like, damn, man, I almost had a fucking parakeet. The pig is worth $1,000, man, minimum.
Yeah, they costly.
She
I had nefarious reasons, and I think he knew that. But yeah, we gonna end it up. We gonna close it all out. I know my camera over there already went out, so we gonna just close it out now. Let you know we out of here.
We out.
Yep.
We out.
We out.
Have a great one.
Peace.